Well, everyone, the 2x4 foot N scale project layout is finally done, and today we're going to look at all the new changes to the layout and do a general overview of all the layout features, and then run some trains. Let's take a look. So the layout is not 100% complete. There are still a few more details I want to add. I want to get some additional trucks and trailers and vehicles and things like that, but I just don't have them yet. And so besides adding those kinds of things and a few other random little details I haven't acquired yet, everything is basically totally done with this project layout as far as I'm concerned and what I plan to do with it. So anyway, let's take a look at all the new features since the last update. So the first change is here on the bottom. I moved the legs in from the edges by about 3 inches on both sides. I like the balance of the layout a little bit better with those legs not quite in the corners. So sticking with the legs, one other thing I've done is added leveling feet to all 4 corners, and that will allow you to get the layout nice and level so your train cars don't start rolling on their own. I've also added another coat of stain and a couple coats of polyurethane to all the layout edges. Another feature was to add a locking knob to the top level of the layout. This top level is removable, but at the same time, that means if you open up this middle level, the top level could just fall off. So I've added a little locking knob here so you can either engage it like it is now or back it out if you want to remove the upper level. Another thing you'll notice is I've added these plastic acrylic protector screens along the top corner here. So if you're walking by, you won't accidentally take out some streetlights or structures with your hand or elbow. But these are all just attached magnetically. So you can very easily remove them or snap them back in place. You can push in on them and they won't pop off, but you can pull out very easily. So if you don't want to include them because you have the layout in a corner of a room, you can just take them off. But if it's not, you can just snap them in place and have some protection for those structures and details in that corner of the layout. Another feature of the front of the layout is that I replaced all the screws with matching stainless steel screws. Just a very subtle thing, but everything is matching now in terms of the color, so I think it's just one of those little minor details that makes it look a little bit better. Sticking with the front of the layout, I've also added knobs to each corner of the layout, so you can now much more easily open up this middle section. And I've also added a couple storage bins to the interior bay of the layout, so you can put rolling stock or other items in there, so they're not going to move around if you do have to shift the layout or move it across the floor, that kind of thing. And of course, there's also room for entire boxes of rail cars, like my Kato Silver Streak Zephyr set. Now, in terms of layout details, all these structures on the middle level are permanently installed, and I've done a lot of additional detail work around these structures. First off, I've added fencing to multiple structures here, just to kind of add some additional detail and separation between the structure parking lots and the surrounding areas of track. All the structures now have some various dumpsters installed, and this structure here also has a couple shipping containers that could be used for extra storage, a random junk pile you see here, and vines and things like that along the fencing. All the structures now do have signs, so you have names to all these industries. I've added additional trees and shrubbery around the structures and to other areas of this middle level in general. It's a little harder to see, but I have also weathered all of the track on this middle level. Another random project was to cut off the roof of this corner structure here on the layout and replace a bunch of the windows. I had knocked out a whole bunch of these windows. These glue in from the interior, and a finger or thumb can easily pop out those windows, and as a result, fall into the interior. It's a tall structure. You can't get them back out. So I had to cut the roof out, re-glue in the windows, and then what I did was fill the entire interior of the structure with black spray foam, which not only served as a very effective view block, but also as that foam expands, it presses up against the window so they will never get pushed out again. I also added some additional street lights to this middle level. Again, none of these work. I don't have any of these structures lighted or any of the street lights working. I didn't really want to deal with that additional wiring on this project, and so they're just there for decoration effectively, but nonetheless, I think it does help to have those street lights there just for the overall look. And lastly, I did just briefly want to go over some of the features of this layout. Again, there are 4 separate loops of track, 2 on the bottom, one in the middle, which is designed as a switching layout with a lot of industries and loading areas to switch. And then I have an upper level with a tram that is controlled by a battery-powered throttle built into the roof of one of the structures. For the bottom and middle levels, there are toggle switches that let you choose between DC and DCC operation. I'm using an NCE power cab, which can control trains on all three of those loops. And I also have three separate DC throttles that you can use as well. So the handheld one on the left is for the middle level, so you can walk around with that and do your switching operations in DC, or you can use the NCE power cab to do the same with DCC. For the two lower loops, I have this panel here that has two separate DC throttles built into it. One controls the inner loop and one controls the outer loop, or again, you can use the NCE power cab to control those loops as well. The 5 push buttons in the middle control the turnouts on the middle level. So each push of the button will throw the turnout in the opposite direction. So it's just one push button for each of the turnouts. And again, the middle level opens up with those handles so you can reach anything that might derail or the storage areas on the inside, as well as the top level, which also comes off if you want to remove it, use it as a separate display by itself, or just to access the track underneath it. So anyway, with that, let's run some trains. But anyway, this is a really action-packed layout for just 2x4 feet, running 4 trains at one time, lots of switching operations on that middle level, and just a lot going on in a small space, which I think is really cool. Anyway, I am going to have a couple more videos on this project layout going forward. I'll have an operations video coming up here within the next few weeks, and I'll have a full compilation video showing the entire construction from start to finish, and perhaps a few other random project videos as well. But anyway, that's all for this video, and thanks for watching. Bye.